This is your weekly report on corruption in the Philippine government. Prosecutors will be filing a new case against suspended Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag, this time for allegedly pressuring and threatening prison officers to deny that a shootout took place inside Iwahig Prison and Penal Farm in Palawan in 2020. In a resolution dated May 11th, the DOJ indicted Bantag and former Bureau of Corrections spokesperson Gabriel Chaclag after it found that they unlawfully coerced, through violence, threats, and intimidation, prison officials into signing a document denying a shooting incident took place on March 1, 2020. Prosecutors also found enough basis to charge Bantag and Chaclag for unlawfully forcing the officers to withdraw their criminal complaint against the prison's chief's men over the incident at Iwahig. Bantag and Chaclag, even if they were then the superior officers of complainants, had no authority or any right to prevent Kanja from filing a criminal case against those involved. The DOJ resolution read, as a result, Bantag and Chaclag should be held liable for the crime of grave coercion, it noted. Businesswoman Janet Lim Napolez and 4 other persons have been convicted by the Sandigan Bayan of graft and malversation of public funds and the misuse of the 15.36 million pesos Priority Development Assistance Fund of the late Davo del Sur, 1st District Representative Douglas R. Cagas in 2007. Napolez was sentenced to 6 to 10 years imprisonment for each count of graft and 12 to 17 years imprisonment for each count of malversation. Former Technology Resource Center Legislative Liaison Officer Belina Concepcion, former TRC Group Manager Maria Rosalinda M. Laxamana and private individuals Mylene T. Encarnacion and Evelyn D. De Leon were convicted each of 1 graft charge and 1 malversation charge. Together with Concepcion and Encarnacion, Napolez was ordered to indemnify the National Treasury of 7,680,000 pesos, which represents the amount wrongfully and illegally disbursed, and another 7,680,000 pesos for the amount malversed. Also, together with Laxamana and De Leon, Napolez was ordered to indemnify the government 7,680,000 pesos for their graft conviction and another 7,680,000 pesos for their malversation conviction. All of them were barred perpetually from holding public office. The accused were also sentenced to perpetual special disqualification from holding any public office. 11 years after it ceased operation in 2001, and even if it did not operate for 100 years, the defunct Manila Gas Corporation still celebrated its centennial in 2012 and purchased 25 watches as tokens during the celebration. During its centennial anniversary on September 9, 2012, MGC purchased 25 Skadgen titanium tin watches as tokens to select officers, staff, and shareholders. In affirming the notice of disallowance on the use of 203,140 pesos for the purchase of the watches, the Commission on Audit said the purchase was unnecessary and unconscionable given that MGC ceased operation in 2001. MGC did not reach 100 years when it ceased operations on December 1, 2001. Hence, there was nothing to commemorate, the COA said. It pointed out that it was inappropriate for MGC to celebrate an anniversary when it has already been inoperative for more than 10 years. As of the 20th of April 12, the MGC has been advised only to proceed with its dissolution, it said. Disbursement of funds for extravagance or indulgence, more so granted 3 days before an agency ceases to exist, is unwarranted. It is an unnecessary and irregular expenditure that should be disallowed, the COA stressed. It affirmed the Notice of Disallowance number MGC 2013-001 issued on November 21, 2013 on the purchase of the wristwatches as centennial anniversary tokens and said that the recipients shall be liable to refund to the extent of the equivalent value of the Skadgen watches at the time of their purchase. Since 12 of the 25 recipients of the watches were unidentified, COA directed its audit team leader and supervising auditor of MGC to determine liability. 5 policemen and their informant or asset are facing charges over accusations that they sexually abused an 18-year-old woman whom they held for 3 days last year, while only the informant, identified only as Luis, allegedly raped the complainant. The 5 policemen were impleaded in the case since they took part in bringing the woman, a drug suspect, to an apartment in this city. The National Bureau of Investigation and Central Visayas filed charges of kidnapping, serious illegal detention, rape, and conduct prejudicial to the best interest of service against the respondents in the Office of the Ombudsman and the Visayas on May 9. A copy of the complaint was released to reporters only on Wednesday. Named respondents were Police Corporals John Robarabusa, Jeffrey Alabata, and Kevin Gilbuna, Staff Sergeants Donald Bilansag and Joy Marie Aladad, and Luis, the police asset, the policeman, all assigned at Mambaling Station here, had been relieved by the Central Visayas Police on Wednesday. According to the NBI, they learned from the respondents' superiors and from the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency in Central Visayas that they were not notified of any anti-drug operation in the area where the complainant was arrested. The acts of the subjects in simultaneously raiding the house, the taking and detaining of the victim against her will from September 19 to her release on September 22, is indicative of a meeting of the minds toward a common criminal objective between the conspirators, it said. That's all for this week. I'll see you next week with more stories of corruption and foolishness within the Philippine government.